There's a version of flight that most people will never experience, and it has almost nothing to do with speed or altitude. It has to do with space. Actual, physical, breathtaking space. The kind where a bed waits for you at the back of the aircraft, where a stand-up shower exists at 35,000 feet, where the dining room seats 8 and the lounge does not fold into your sleeping area because there is simply no need for it to. This is not a fantasy or a rendering from some futuristic concept brochure. This is a real aircraft flying real routes, connecting continents without stopping, and doing it all in a cabin that measures 18 feet wide. It is called the Boeing Business Jet 787, and for roughly $40 million on the pre-owned market, it is perhaps the most extraordinary private aircraft ever converted from a commercial airframe. Not the fastest business jet, not the flashiest, but almost certainly the most capable, the most comfortable, and the most disproportionately powerful machine available to private buyers who understand what they are actually acquiring. To understand why the BBJ 787 occupies such a singular position in private aviation, you have to start with where it comes from. The 787 Dreamliner is not some lightly modified corporate shuttle. It is the backbone of long-haul commercial aviation, a wide-body twin-engine jet that airlines deployed to connect cities like London to Melbourne, New York to Singapore, Dubai to Los Angeles. Airlines buy it because it is efficient, because it is reliable, because its carbon composite airframe is lighter and more fuel-friendly than the aluminum jets that came before it, and because its passengers arrive feeling meaningfully less battered than they would on older aircraft. In its standard commercial guise, the 787 carries somewhere between 200 and 290 passengers, depending on configuration. Strip that down to 25 passengers, and the mathematics of fuel and range become almost unrecognizable. The BBJ 787-8 achieves a maximum range of approximately 9,960 nautical miles. That figure deserves a moment of actual reflection because it is not just a large number, it is a number that eliminates the concept of a stopover from your travel vocabulary entirely. London to Sydney in a single flight, New York to Hong Kong in a straight line, Los Angeles to Dubai without so much as slowing down over an intermediate airport. If you can name 2 populated cities anywhere on the globe, this aircraft can almost certainly connect them without refueling, without crew changes midway, without the logistical friction that defines ultra-long-range flying on smaller jets. The power behind that range comes from 2 turbofan engines, either the General Electric GEnx-1B or the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000, both of which deliver approximately 72,000 pounds of thrust each.
These are not bespoke engines commissioned for a niche private aviation product. They are the same power plants that commercial airlines have been logging millions of flight hours on across every major route in the world. Their reliability record is extraordinary by any measure, and for an operator planning to fly genuinely remote routes, transoceanic legs, polar tracks, equatorial crossings, that established reliability record matters enormously. Cruise speed sits at Mach 0.85, translating to roughly 650 miles per hour, covering approximately 11 nautical miles every 60 seconds. The aircraft climbs to an initial cruise altitude of 43,000 feet, where it operates above commercial air traffic and above most weather systems, giving crews a smooth corridor that long-haul flying rarely provides on jets constrained to lower altitudes. The composite airframe, 50% of the structure by weight, reduces fuel burn by approximately 20% compared to older generation wide-bodies of similar size, which, on a 9,000-mile mission, amounts to a genuinely meaningful operational efficiency even at this scale of aircraft.
But the technical performance, remarkable as it is, only tells part of the story. There is a physiological dimension to the BBJ 787 that separates it from every other private jet ever built, and it comes down to a number that most passengers would never think to ask about: cabin altitude. On a conventional commercial airliner, the pressurization system maintains what is effectively an internal altitude of around 8,000 feet. That gap between sea level pressure and 8,000-foot equivalent pressure is the reason long-haul passengers step off 14-hour flights feeling dehydrated, fatigued, swollen in the extremities, and foggy in the mind. The BBJ 787 maintains its cabin altitude at 6,000 feet. That 2,000-foot difference does not sound dramatic until you actually experience it, and what you experience is the difference between arriving exhausted and arriving functional. Business travelers describe stepping off 18-hour BBJ 787 flights and walking directly into meetings without the recovery period that transatlantic commercial travel normally demands. For the category of passenger that this aircraft is designed around, that physiological advantage is not a luxury feature. It is a productivity multiplier with a direct financial consequence. Stand outside the aircraft on the ramp at any major airport, and the first thing that strikes you is scale. The BBJ 787 is enormous in a way that photographs fail to communicate adequately. Park it next to a Gulfstream G700 or a Bombardier Global 7500, jets that represent the pinnacle of traditional long-range business aviation, and those aircraft, each of which is already a substantial and expensive machine, are simply dwarfed. The fuselage is wider and more rounded than anything in conventional business aviation, a direct consequence of Boeing's composite construction philosophy that optimizes internal volume without adding structural weight. The swept composite wings terminate in distinctive raked wingtips that reduce drag and improve aerodynamic efficiency in ways that accumulate meaningfully across long missions. The cabin windows are larger than those on any competing business jet, and they are electrochromically dimmable, meaning there are no physical window shades, just a single button that controls the exact tint and light transmission with a level of precision that no pull-down shade could ever match. Flying over the Pacific at sunrise and being able to dial in precisely how much of that light you want filtering into the cabin is the kind of detail that sounds trivially cosmetic until you are actually living it at 43,000 feet. Every BBJ 787 that leaves a completion center looks different from every other one because the exterior livery is entirely custom specified through Boeing-approved facilities. Some operators choose understated white fuselages with subtle metalwork accents. Others use the aircraft as a flying billboard for corporate identity, wrapping the entire fuselage in graphics that announce their presence from a mile away on any ramp in the world. The production numbers are small enough, these are among the rarest private aircraft ever built, that every aircraft on the global fleet is in some meaningful sense unique.
And if you have a view on whether the economics of BBJ 787 ownership justify the operational costs for buyers who are already considering ultra-long-range options in that price bracket, the discussion is worth having. Drop your thoughts below. If content like this is what you come here for, subscribing means you will not miss what comes next.